Well, hello and welcome to Joyful Mondays. Every Monday at 3 p.m. we come to you live. I am Joy Ruffin, and my work with you is as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. But the joy, the pleasure I have of bringing to you every Monday is a featured guest speaker. But before I bring her on, I want to chat with you about a topic that's very prevalent with the work that I do. And I want to introduce you to that. By the way, welcome, welcome, welcome. Always good to see you. And a great way to start off the week, Joyful Mondays. My work is with women who are transitioning from one something to another and upgrading and up-leveling their image, their appearance, their style. So what are we going to talk about briefly before I bring on my featured guest speaker, whom I adore? We're going to talk about that later. Elevate your wardrobe and elevate your style. Well, I start off with quotes. And quotes mean a lot to me for all the varying reasons. Many of them you've heard, and if not, you'll hear again from time to time. This is a quote that kind of fits what we're going to be talking about briefly. The confidence that comes from being well-dressed is immeasurable, whatever that is to you. Never forget that casual is in. You can be casual and still be well-dressed. And then the other that connects to that is what's my style is not your style. And I don't see how you can define it as something that expresses who you are in your own way has to be you. Ooh, let me repeat that again. What's my style is not your style. And I don't see how you can define it if it's something that expresses who you are in your own way, but it's not you. That was said by none other than Iris Arpel, who was a style icon and not my preference and my taste, but you had to give her kudos because it was her taste. When it comes, friends, to style, it's individualized for each and every individual. And this is what has happened. Somehow we've dropped the ball and everybody more or less is looking the same because we're into convenience, we're into casual, we're into comfort. And that's good. But we have to kick it up a bit if we're in professional business, whether we're corporate or entrepreneurial. It's a very touchy subject for a lot of women, and I find it here and there as I move about. So I ask you this question because this is one of my preferences. How do you manage and master yourself? Because that's what we're going to be talking about a wee bit later on today. I'm going to be talking about something that has a lot to do with, everything has to do with you. But how does having to do with you compute and align with others? Because if you're here, more or less, you're in the process of being able to work with others to assist them on their journey of life. Here's what was said by someone. He said, we're all here to elevate ourselves and to seek excellence. If you're just here to exist and be, then this is not for you. Because we're relating to the 3 to 5 percentile here who really are aware of what it means to elevate and to kick it up a notch and get to the essence and the core of who you are, whatever that style might be. And it ought to be different from anybody else's. It ought to be you, whatever that is. And that's what we're going to be talking about. How do you accentuate you? How do you give your style a look that connects and relates to who you are? You want to make it fun, and you want to be playful, and you want to have a way about you that even though it's top-notch for you, people look and say, and they like, or they don't, but they can't compute and be negative about it because there's balance aligned with it. And that's what real signature style involves for each individual. You want to make it something that when you go in that closet and you walk through that closet, it speaks to you and you're happy to be there because everything there has meaning for you. It looks like, it feels like, it smells like, it handles like something that you like. And if there's something there that doesn't have those elements, you want to get rid of it because it's not you. And everything that you purchase, even in today's casual, it ought to have a significant nuance of elements of you. Whatever it is, it can be casual, it can be chic, it can be dramatic, it can be romantic, sporty. It can be all of those combined when you know how to do it. But it has to speak you, the signature of you. And this is what we are all about here. And when it comes to how do you elevate your style, well, it all starts with you're beautiful. I don't care what size, what shape, what age, what height, what weight, race, creed, color, age has nothing to do with it. It has to start with your body shape. And you have to be honest about it and know how to decorate it, dress it, style it. Today, women, most of us, I'm going to have a talk soon rather, on pants, slacks, trousers, leggings, jeggings, tights, joggers. Oh, it goes on and on, sweatpants. Because now most of us, the majority, we wear slacks, pants, trousers. Ooh, it's a topic. When it comes to elevating your style and getting your wardrobe up to speed, we don't know how to get the right fit. Because maybe from the front, but when you turn around, we have to really know and love that body shape and be honest about it so that we can kick it up a notch and elevate our style. And the body, it changes. Everything does. So we have to learn how to change our style and manner of dress with the changes in our body. And you do it with grace, and dignity, and sophistication and style. And when you do that, you're on par with what's going to work best for you. And it doesn't have to be dowdy and frumpy and old-fashioned and out of date. Fits you in the element and the range and the style that you are in at the moment. It ought to be fun. For me, of late here, I'm connected with several different groups. And the reason that I'm there is because both groups, even though it's serious, it's about business, it's about marketing, branding, sales, getting to know how to connect and relate. But it's fun and it's playful. Because even though it's serious, if you can't add that element to it of fun and play and laughter and humor, then what good is it? And what I want you to do after I come back from my reset is sit back and listen to all of the beautiful tips and sharing that my featured guest is going to share with you about what she's all about, forgiveness. It's a big umbrella, and we're going to cover it in different ways. I'll give you a little bit of her background when I come back. But for now, I just want you to sit back. I'm going to take a quick little reset here. I'm shortening this each and every time because I get so excited to bring on the featured guest. But before I do that, I want you to take a look at my Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. My. If you're not a guest, you need to be. You need to be a member. And then to be a guest here on Leading Ladies, not here on Joyful Monday. Well, you will be eventually, because we want your vision, your mission, and your purpose. We want you to showcase it. We want you to meet and greet all the other beautiful ladies there. That's your assignment. I love homework. Perennial ongoing student. Yes, I am, and I'll be that way when I'm 103. But I want you to just remember, the group is your group, and you belong there. And in conjunction with that, I'm always talking about know thyself. It's a journey of knowing thyself. And this lady that I'm going to bring on later, we're going to add into what she's talking about with this. You are a beautiful puzzle. And the art and science of putting you together and the humanness of all of that, this is what this offers you. It's time for a big discovery, because we all think we really know ourselves. And we really don't, not as well as we ought to. If we're here in leadership, professional, business, entrepreneurial, agents of change, then we really need to know who we are. And one of the ways that you can do that, my silver package is ready for you. 3 weeks plus beautiful bonuses. And there's so much more involved with this. But once you go here and you get to see what's involved, we start off always. It's your digital studio where you go and you are aligned with all the key elements that fit you best. Now, my featured guest, before I bring her up, I just want to show you something that we're going to talk a little bit about. This is her book. Now, she has one of my favorite people on here, and I haven't even met this man, Les Brown. We're going to talk a little bit about him, but it's called The Change. So just remember that name, and we'll bring it up a little bit later. But for now, sit back. Whatever relaxes you, grab it. because I want you to help me welcome this guest. Before I do, let me tell you a little bit about her. My featured guest speaker today is Nicole Harvick. She's known as the forgiveness expert and quantum energy healer. Love that. I've known this lady for quite a while. Her mission is to assist people from all walks of life to release negative emotions that are stuck inside their bodies, causing them harm, sickness, and emotional pain. And there's so much more I could share with you. But all you have to do is just sit back and help me greet her. My featured guest speaker today, Nicole Harvick. As they say in the movies, come on up. Nicole.
I am ready and willing to come on up. Thank you so
Oh,
much for having me here today.
it's a pleasure always to have you, my lady. I love the work that you're doing. It excites me, it intrigues me, and it gives me a reason to be totally and completely aligned with you because your work is all about forgiveness and energy. And how, before we get into all this other wonderfulness that we're going to talk about, we only have so much time. How did you come to this work briefly? Share with us a little bit about that.
I will tell you that, and it's been over 10 years now, but this started with a really painful, sad, and devastating divorce. And,
Mm.
those are never fun, but sometimes they're less fun. And so when I found out that my ex was cheating, which I did, it was very, very painful, Joy. And for a very, very, very long time, I didn't know how to process it. I didn't really know what was going on. First marriage, first divorce. So, I'm glad I was new at it because I certainly wouldn't want to go through that ever again. But what was happening is not understanding what was going on. I started becoming sick and I started holding in emotions. And I was never one to use my voice much in that marriage just because it didn't do any good. And I had two girls watching me. And, you want to portray this as a happy home, but
Yes.
it wasn't. It
Ooh.
was it was a house. It was not a home. And
Oh,
yeah. And I only thought a lot of things you can only see upon reflection. And
yes.
so when I look back, I realized I probably stayed much too long. But what was happening to me, Joy, is that I was getting sick and my hair was falling out and I was scratching my skin until I bled. And now what I realize is that you're holding in emotions. And unfortunately, my emotions were anger, they were hate, they were animosity, it was everything negative. Well, what happens when you do that, when you're not letting those emotions out, whether it be by your voice, whether it be by meditation, whatever release you choose, you're holding them in you, you are going to become sick.
Yes. Nicole, I've heard that story before, and each time I hear it, it gives me a wow because you're speaking a universal voice. And by the way, we have two beautiful souls here today. Welcome, ladies. Verlaine and Sonia. It's always good when you can show up. But what's beautiful about what you're sharing, Nicole, is I know that it's a universal language because when there's a separation or divorce of a relationship, whatever the time span that they have been together, it's painful. And most times, women more so than men take in that stuff and it begins to become emotional pain, that anger, that hurt, and all that pain. So I love that. Now, this book, and how you said that now you are a energy healer because you realize somewhere, you and I had this discussion before, that everything and almost everyone that I talk to and I'm connected to, we all realize it's all energy, right?
Everything.
Everything is energy.
The
So how did,
desk, the
yes,
computer, you name it, it is energy.
it's energy. So you became the quantum healer and the forgiveness expert. Combining the two, I think, was brilliant. So now you're talking about change because what you just described to you that you went through, you want to alleviate that for a lot of other people. So how are you going about that? Invest in yourself is what you're saying. So share with
You
us a little bit about that.
you have to invest in yourself because what you don't realize is you are the most important person in your life. What you have to understand is while there are other people around you that sometimes if you've been suppressed, maybe you look and you're like, oh gosh, they're really smart. We all have our niche and we all have our brilliance. It could be expressed differently. But what I realized is that I took all kinds of classes for healing modalities, whether it was Reiki, it
Mhm.
was sound, it was tuning forks. And while those all helped, Joy, what I finally came to realize is that what I was missing in my whole experience was forgiveness. And I heard someone talking about it, and it helped me to understand that it wasn't about forgiving that person who I felt did me wrong. It was about releasing it for me not to be able to carry that burden that they had placed on me. Whatever was going on, it was about them making me feel bad. And I thought to myself, I'm no longer willing to carry that in my body enough to make me sick. And I just started releasing. I started releasing my anger. I started releasing my hate. And we're not condoning anything they've ever done. It's not about them. It's all about you. And when I started releasing that, it was almost like the chains on my heart just started coming off, because it was really heavy. It was very mired. And I had closed it down so much, it was like nothing could get in there. And I just started stripping away. And when I realized that forgiveness was for me, boy, did I utilize it. And it's everyone thinks it's so hard, but once you start, it becomes easier and easier because the pain goes away. You realize you are a good person. You realize you are worthy of forgiving yourself. You've got
Nicole.
to forgive yourself. And with self-forgiveness, you're going to stumble into self-love.
Oh, Nicole,
And it's
you
beautiful.
it is beautiful. And you explain that beautifully, because in conjunction with investing in yourself and this anger, this hate, and this guilt that one feels, that also applies. And I dealt myself here and dealing with it in a different way now, guilt, because the caretaker comes underneath this umbrella as well.
Yes.
When it's something that you feel, because whatever happens, there's just so many elements involved with what you're discussing here. But once you invest in yourself and you forgive yourself, then you're able to release, I love that word, a lot of the stuff that you're dealing with. And this is what I'm doing now. And this is what you did. And now you're sharing this, a means and way to do it for so many others who need this guidance. I just think it's brilliant. I really do, because
Well, thank
a
you.
lot of people hide. They hide. And you can only hide for so long, because all of that hurt, anger, pain, guilt, it's all being consumed inside, and it's not doing you any justice whatsoever. Now, let's talk about the book Change, because that I love, because I never met this man, but I adore this man. I hope before I leave the planet, and I will meet him. But how did you come to this book, The Change? Insights into self-empowerment, and how are you using that? And how did you get him to allow you, and that you've never met him, to get the picture on the cover? I love it.
Well, I'll tell you, this was the brainchild of Jim Lutz and Jim Britt.
Ah,
And many years ago, Jim Britt worked with Jim Rohn, and they were actually Tony, what's his last name? I can't even think of his last name.
yes, I know who you
You
mean.
know who
I
I'm
know who you
talking
mean.
about. They
Mhm.
were his first mentor when Tony Robbins, when
Tony
he
Robbins.
very first started. So they had worked with him. And then Jim Britt, like he says, I can call him right now. I've got his number. So, we always laugh about that. And so he decided, yes, I'm going to go on that cover and I'm going to help sales, because it is self-empowerment.
Yes.
And we all have to understand, we ourselves have to take the responsibility to empower ourselves. No one else around us can do it. They can try, or we can think someone can help us. And there are many mentors that we can work with, but we have to get that mindset that we're good enough, we're smart enough, and we deserve it. We deserve to be elevated. We deserve to have that brilliance mindset.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, we do. And I have to tell you, thank you for sharing that. I didn't know you knew the two Jims and Tony Robbins. I mean, of them through him. But Les Brown, as many moons ago, I shared this with you briefly before, but I fell in love with him when I heard him say, and somewhere in me recognized this: everyone, and the key word, not just me, you, everyone has greatness within them. And that just connected me, linked me to him in more ways than I can share. So to see you on the cover, Nicole, with his picture and this book, and by the way, this book I think you're offering to people who shop, and we'll
I
be
am.
sending. Oh, great! I think
Mhm.
that's great gift to give anybody. So good for you, the Change book, because self-empowerment today is about, it's really where all of us need to be, especially today in this Insta society that we're in. And how do people get to be able to, once they get into forgiveness, to be able to promote themselves? I think this is what you meant when you gave me this, promote yourself. What did you mean? How did you mean that?
Because we all have brilliance in us. We all have something that we know that maybe someone else doesn't. And I almost feel like it's an obligation. And it's not to intrude in someone's life, but it's to share. And I often wish I would have had somebody, and I say this very humbly, but with my knowledge right now, I wish I had a mentor or even a friend that knew about forgiveness, or that knew about getting rid of that trauma in your body from whatever caused it, from being told you're not good enough, being told you're uneducated and untrained. And that's my ex talking to me. But when you're married, you don't expect someone to be putting you down all the time. And that's what happens. And I wish I would have had someone like me who could either guide me or just listen to me without judgment. And so that became very, very important to me. And I like how you said that forgiveness and the quantum go hand in hand, because
Yes.
I could never figure that out, Joy. I thought, how do I merge forgiveness with healing? All healing starts with forgiveness. It has to.
Oh,
And it was like my epiphany. I was like, oh my gosh, I've had it the whole time and didn't know it.
isn't that a breath of fresh air, an epiphany, when that does happen for all of us at different times for different things? I get it. Nicole, you are without question on a path and a journey that's so needed, and so many, how you go out and promote you to get people to come to you. I'll always be supporting you. But share with us a little bit about all of the different modalities and things that you do when you meet and greet and connect with people, that you're supporting them and their change. What are some of the services you offer them?
This sounds crazy, but one of the biggest services I offer is listening. And I didn't know how to do that before Clubhouse. And if you remember Clubhouse, we would jump on and we didn't see each other. And if
Yeah.
you moderated a room, you had to listen very carefully to what people were saying so you could formulate either your answer or the next question. So when I look back, it was quite a journey. But, I talk about forgiveness in terms of it really needs to start with you, and the way I look back at mine is that I didn't do everything right. I did a lot of things that were wrong, but I thought, I didn't do it with malice in my heart.
No.
Just did it with the information I had at that moment. Sometimes it was disastrous, sometimes it worked out, but that helped me understand in other people, we don't always do things to be mean. We just don't know at that time. And so that's when you give yourself the grace. That's when you give yourself forgiveness. You deserve it. Why should you want to carry it can't be changed. You can look back,
No,
but you can never
no,
change it. So
no.
just shed it, let it go. Let that be that skin that needs to come off.
You
And
know,
move forward.
Yeah, Nicole, you make a very good point. And Sonia came in and she said it's about active listening, and you brought in the clubhouse. And that's one of the things that it does. It teaches us active listening. And for me, that's always been prevalent, not bragging, simply sharing, because as a young kid with all of my disabilities, I learned to be an observer. And when you're a deep observer, you listen as well. And you see, you feel, and you know things. And then you hear, and then you pounce back, contingent upon what that's all about. So it's all hand in hand. And when you talk about, one of the things that you said to me that it all resonates with me, but this really had a deeper impact, because today I think more than ever, and it's predominantly I work with women, we need to learn to more and more to invest in ourselves. So how can you take that a step further and ask people or invite people to be more about investing in themselves?
Joy, it's really interesting, because investing in yourself and showing yourself love can be something simple like reading a book or
Yeah.
taking a bath with bath salts. Now, I remember where you and I met, and it was many years ago in a
Yeah.
Jane Powers.
Yes, yes, yes.
We had invested in ourselves to learn more, how to speak
Exactly.
better. And so it can be that, it can be the books you read, it can be the music you listen to, because something can calm you down or something can excite you. So investing in yourself can be many, many, many different things. Now, I've invested in myself, learning many healing modalities. I'm a Reiki master.
That's what I wanted you to mention.
I'm
Yes.
a Reiki master. I do sound healing. I do tuning forks. And you're going to start hearing more and more about frequencies, because frequencies will alter the body, even to where they're saying frequency can shatter cancer cells. So that is really exciting. So I learned that. I learned how to extract cellular memory, how to guide someone. A lot of us don't know that we work on the subconscious. The subconscious buries things so deeply, and 99% of the time they're painful memories. You know, if our parents yelled at us, if we were bullied, and we like carry out these stories, and we don't know why we're acting like that. Or unfortunately, I have worked with a lot of sexual trauma in someone's childhood. That's very disturbing, but I would rather have the opportunity to help them to release that than, leave that in there. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of anger, there's every emotion you can imagine.
Yeah.
There's also, I've seen people, just to be blunt, throw up. It's been buried so deeply, they want to get that out. But it's so much better to go through that than keep that inside of you, because you will get a dis-ease. You become at
Yes.
dis-ease with your body.
Exactly. And I love the word release. I'm a wordsmith, Nicole, because once you begin to release and find ways to let all of that negativity go, whether it's anger or guilt or pain and hate, any negative feelings, the lightness that comes about through that, it's a whole new, isn't it? It's you mentioned it in a way earlier when you said like chains being released, holding you tight, you were released. I think that's powerful. I think that many of us today, more than ever before, because the timing is right now, we're getting into understanding more about energy and how we, all of us, need to learn how to release and stand in the innate God-given power that we have in light and love.
Yes. And Joy, we are such powerful beings. We've always been kind of suppressed, if you will,
Yes,
whether
yes.
it be from social conditioning, school conditions us, sometimes church conditions us. It just
Yes,
depends.
yes.
But those are chains that bind us, and we need to break free of those, because we are miraculous beings. We are brilliant. We come here with a plan.
Yes.
And, to me, I look around and it's like, no, for so many years, I just did not talk about this stuff. And it's like, no, people need to hear this, whether they get it right now or not.
Right.
I'm going to speak my truth now, because it's everyone has this truth.
You are a front runner and an agent of change, and that's why I will always be celebrating you. I'm in the same camp somewhat, Nicole. Whatever you do, don't stop, because what you mentioned about and especially for women, for me, our conditioning, our programming, our sexualizing has been so off the chains, off the map, that we have bought into it hook, line, and sinker, and it's time to stop that now. And what you're talking about too, the anger, the guilt, the pain, the hate that we have for all, whatever the reasons might be, you can't live with that. You have to learn to release that. So that's why the work that you're doing is so neat. Listen, the time flies here. I'm going to ask my engineer to put up your poster. Tell us a little bit more about the book. And I think you can tell us how they can get it. She's going to run your website across. How do they get the book? When my engineer puts up your book, they just go to Nicole Harvick. Tell us how to get the book.
Yes, NicoleHarvick.com has them up, and I actually mail them out. They're not on Amazon, because we went through another publisher. And I would love to give away 2 free today to someone in your audience that would like this. If there's a way to get their email, I would gladly send them a copy, because it's all 20 stories of empowerment.
Well, let's do that. Let's have her put up your your email across, and it'll be running across, and we'll make sure that she puts it in the notes too as well. Nicole, the time flies here. It's time to say goodbye.
No, I know. And I'm just glad you had me today. I'm glad that you too understand the uniqueness of self. And I'm glad you let me talk about this because truly it's so important.
An honor, mine, all mine. She's going to put you in the green room, and I'll be with you in a second. Thank you, my love. My friends, I cannot tell you how each and every week the time flies here. Thank you all for coming. You ladies, you beautiful souls out there, it's always a pleasure when you can show up. I know how active everyone is. Whatever you do, after you release, this is true. Whatever you do, be well, stay safe. Make this one of the best weeks ever. And look to join us on Wednesday nights. We're back with a leading lady. Whoa, it's going to be that. It's going to be epic. We'll see you there. In the meantime, make this a big blast of a week. See you soon. Much love. Cheers.